I'm Alex Morash, and let's queer up politics. Mamdani's bold LGBTQ agenda for a safer New York. New York City Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani is stepping into office with one of the strongest pro-LGBTQ agendas the city has ever seen, and his record backs it up. As a state representative, Mamdani helped repeal the Walking While Trans ban, co-sponsored the Gender Recognition Act, allowing legal gender changes and the X marker, and supported the state's SHIELD law protecting providers and patients of gender-affirming care. His campaign now promises a major expansion of queer protections. His platform says, quote, "Queer and trans people across the United States are facing an increasingly hostile political environment. New York City must be a refuge for LGBTQ plus people," end quote. Mamdani has pledged $65 million for healthcare centers offering gender-affirming care, vowing accountability for private hospitals that sell out young trans New Yorkers to the Trump administration. He also promises to make New York City a sanctuary city for LGBTQ plus people and recipients of gender-affirming care, ensuring local resources cannot be used to aid out-of-state prosecutions. A new Office of LGBTQIA plus Affairs would oversee non-discrimination enforcement, legal support, and more, backed by $87 million in funding for housing, mental health, trans-serving organizations, workplace programs, education, healthcare, and legal defense. Mamdani says his administration, quote, "will be committed to protecting the rights of queer and trans New Yorkers to live and thrive without the threat of persecution and bigotry," end quote. Well, there you go. Awful socialism, everybody, is coming to help queer people now. You know, I'll say a couple things.
Shakira law, Shania law or Shakira law?
Both. You know, but like when it looks to, there's a couple things on this. Like one, a lot of media has been talking about all the things outside of his core campaign promises in news outlets lately. And I say, you know, yes, it's good that a mayor obviously is with us, but like the way you get that sort of pro-LGBTQ mayor is through these mass movement candidates who are going to help people in general. Because I'm just going to be blunt with you. I've yet to meet someone who wants to feed the poor, but says, well, not for the ones with the limp wrist. You know, I don't see those types normally.
I should introduce you to the Salvation Army.
Yeah. But I think the strongest thing, and this is a very socialist, honestly, thing, is the actual having a city department that goes after issues such as if you've been discriminated, dealing with it. When I lived in Washington, D.C., we had that. Like we had the Office of the Tenant Advocate when it came to dealing with housing issues. Wonderful. I remember when I left, I moved and I had issues canceling my gym membership, as any gay would have an issue with. The Attorney General of D.C. helped. When you have government that's willing to be much more active and not say, oh, you have to go sue on your own for it, it really helps. So that's going to be amazing.
Yeah, well, I'd like to see Mamdani be successful. I think we all do. And it's interesting, you know, if you look at what people are saying about his election, that folks on the right are saying that people on the right, you know, the red folks are going to relocate, hopefully not to Florida or South Florida. But I'd love to see him be able to carry those things out. I think the one interesting thing, and I hope he can release it in a communication, is that, you know, because he has dual citizenship in Uganda, that he, you know, there were concerns expressed in an article I read that Uganda has, you know, a history of anti-gay support and rights, and I think it's great that if he can pull this off and support our community and our trans community in that way. So I wish him well.
Uganda is one of the most notoriously homophobic places on earth, and their government that's where the notorious kill the gays law came from, supported by American evangelicals, no less. But talk about neoliberalism, neo-imperialism. But I just want to point out that among the people who were tapped by Zohran Mamdani to lead mayoral transition teams is a trans rabbi, and other major LGBTQ figures in the religious world, which usually are not a very commingling space.
Well, hopefully then that'll also counteract any anti-Semitism that we're seeing from other groups outside of our, you know, communities. So that's great.
Well, it's nice to talk about the religion for a second, because Mamdani's been very honest and open about being a Muslim American, and, you know, time and time again, people always assume all these things about Muslim Americans, and I, especially like in politics and queer politics, we're like, oh, well, are they going to support our community? I'm like, The only Muslim elected officials I ever meet are always much more supportive of our community than the Christian ones. That's for sure.
Actually, some places in Michigan where there's a Muslim majority in some smaller towns, they can be quite...
The Michigan Muslim elected officials that are in the Michigan House, most of them have supported most LGBTQ legislation.
We're talking about the mayors and the town councilmen. At least one Michigan town is ruled by a Muslim-dominated city council, removed pride flags and banned books. So sometimes the religion is just a cover for homophobia. Well, there's no other, the Christian nationalist has one thing, Muslims have another. When they're conservative, they kind of behave the same way.
Well, being a former native of the greater New York City area, I wish them well. And I look forward to going up there and seeing hopefully a new New York.
I look forward to visiting New York City now.
The one other thing I'll say, you had mentioned are rich people going to leave the city. There hasn't been any evidence of it, because there's been all the signs to come to South Florida. People are forgetting South Florida is seeing the largest mass exodus based to climate and weather in the whole country. So we're the ones that should be worried about people leaving. Not
actually, Miami is pretty desperate. They are literally having billboards that are like, "Oh, come to Miami from New York," but that only works for crypto bros and people who don't understand what wealth is and how it is worth. They're like, "Oh, people move to Palm Beach." I'm like, "Oh, take a guess why they're moving to Palm Beach."
And then they're like, "There's nothing to do," so they go to Miami or they move home.
Well, it's always a shifting geographic, right? Well, there's no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by sharing them and subscribing to Queer News Tonight.